Yeah.
All right. So you guys did really good. I think you guys got just about everything except for the blood transfusion.
It's like racking my brain as to
I
how
know.
to treat sickle cell because we don't really learn how to specifically treat sickle cell.
So that was a reason that I thought that this would be a good simulation because it was something we didn't really do too much, and I saw it in the field. So I figured I'd bring it here. So what we did was we broke it down into 3-minute intervals, and we were looking for certain things to be done within that time. And that's what would determine whether her vitals would go up or go down or what was going on. So the first 3 minutes, we were looking for O2 therapy and a bronchodilator. The next 3 minutes, we were just looking for, ask for an interpreter, start communicating with mom, figure out what the meds were, and start an IV. The next 3 minutes was figuring out that she had sickle cell anemia, give her pain medication, and I'm not sure what you guys gave. I think it was Tylenol.
I asked for acetaminophen and pain medication. I didn't give a specific one because he's the PA.
So the PA knew everything that was going on.
Yeah.
And he was just there to kind of facilitate everything.
Well, that's why I said, how about pain medication?
Right. So opiates is what we were looking for, Dilaudid or something like that. But you know, pain medication is definitely important. Transfusion. So we were looking for a type and screen because she was going to need a blood transfusion.
So I asked for a full panel blood workup, so that should have included a type of screen.
Yeah.
And to start IV antibiotics. So that was that. The next thing was so my points. The points were, one is to highlight acute chest syndrome. It's the #1 killer with sickle cell. People that have sickle cell disease. It's defined as a new infiltrate on X-ray with one other symptom. And that could be fever, chest pain, cough, any of those. The other thing was the proper treatment. So it's O2 therapy, bronchodilator, pain medication, opiates, IV antibiotics, and blood transfusion is what would help. And also the other thing was the cultural aspect of it is just how important it is to be a good information gatherer. And if there's no communication, then that's not going to happen and everything's going to be thrown off. So the important thing was just getting the interpreter, communicating with mom, and not getting information from a child. And I think was it wrong?
No, it wasn't, but did anyone check my...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What are some great things about this simulation? I'll help you a little bit.
Sure.
What are some positives? Go around and talk, anybody, feel free to jump in. Some things that went well with the simulation.
I feel like everyone introduced themselves, came in, introduced themselves to the child, but they couldn't communicate with mom.
Okay.
And they weren't trying to disregard me just because they couldn't communicate with me.
Was there
But they were still continuously trying to communicate with me, even though I can't understand what she's saying.
So as far as what could have gone better, obviously that was the key, was getting somebody in here quicker, which doesn't always happen. And so did you see how chaotic the whole situation was? I mean, if we can't communicate, then we can't even treat or heal or do any of our jobs.
And that was the other thing that I wanted to highlight, which is why the interpreter didn't come immediately, because that's not how it works in the hospital. Like, you could be there 15 minutes, not understand what's going on, and it's taking that long for the interpreter to get there. And even if you use a phone interpreter, it takes a while to communicate, and sometimes you think you know what language you're communicating with, and it's a different language, and then you have to kind of start over.
Well, that's why he came in and said Spanish, and I said, I don't think she's speaking Spanish, and then I was trying to find out from Narnar where her mother was from to try and be able to say, okay, well, we need this kind of an interpreter.
And
Because
that's
a lot of times
that was kind of me introduced as the foil. One, we wanted to make sure that you understood that it was a very female-centric cultural aspect, but that she spoke Tagalog, I spoke Spanish, and we were, even though we're together, right? I'm trying to advertise it, but even though we were together, that she was the one you had to speak to, because I couldn't, even though you're a Spanish interpreter, I couldn't call shots.
Dad was not controlling that situation at all. It was all mom.
Exactly.
So she didn't speak, you didn't speak any English whatsoever. Did Dad speak any anything else?
I was more Hispanic and she was Tagalog.
So you
Filipino.
just spoke Spanish only?
That was it.
Right.
Okay. So just to kind of rethink that, you probably should have gotten Spanish.
Well, just so I can clarify, we didn't have two people that spoke Tagalog in the group.
Right.
So I was really supposed to be a Tagalog interpreter.
Exactly.
So I was not
that.
speaking Spanish. Well, I was speaking
But
Spanish,
just
but it wasn't.
on the other hand, think about the father who's this child too. Even though it's female centered, you should have probably had another interpreter that spoke Spanish as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, things that you probably don't think about. But that father probably, he was actually being really, really good. But you can have a very irate father in that situation, which is going to escalate this whole thing even further. So that's something I think we could have done better as well. But I understand you guys just thrown into this. And as far as what you did, it was a good job. It's just, it was very chaotic, which is what it really is in real life. So I applaud what you guys did. It was a good job.
Clap,
Plus
clap.
you had a medical issue that you had to deal with too. Plus the diversity. So it drove home that diversity part, which was really, really important, which is what this was all about in the medical field. Okay? So good job.
Sorry for those that are through this.
You know, it's